Are you looking for an action camera to capture the fun of your motorcycle rides? Or are you thinking about vlogging your moto adventures or creating viral content for Instagram and TikTok? Well, then this is the video for you. As you can imagine, I shoot a fair amount of video while I'm riding my motorcycle. These videos of mine need a lot of content, so I often run an action camera on my rides out on the streets or at the track. Basically, my riding career is one long camera test. In this video, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the action cameras that you'll find in my camera bag. Specifically, I'm going to discuss how these cameras meet the needs of motorcycle riders. I won't be going into a full review on specs and capabilities. Instead, I'm going to look at how they deliver the goods and stand up to the use and abuse that we dish out as riders. If you see a camera you like and you're thinking about dropping your cash on one of them, I suggest you use this video as a starting point and then do a deeper dive into reviews on that specific camera. Or you can just rely on my advice and not worry about it. If you're going to be filming, you'll end up in your videos sooner or later, so you better be prepared to look dashing and stylish on camera. At Tularosa Moto, we've got gear that will keep you looking good on or off the bike while keeping you safer in the process. Check us out at tularosamoto.com. The cameras that we'll be looking at today include the GoPro Plus, the Akaso V50 Elite, the GoPro Hero 9, the GoPro Max, and the Insta360 X3. Let's start this review with my first action camera purchase, the GoPro Hero Plus. This camera is so old, I have no idea how or when I purchased it. It's a very basic camera with no extras or even features that we consider essential today. For example, its battery is not removable and it has no image stabilization. Once the internal battery dies, it's done. The maximum image resolution is 1080p, sufficient for YouTube, but you can't crop into it like you can with a higher resolution camera. The overall image quality, from color to image sharpness, doesn't stand up to the newer cameras. It would be nice if I could use this as a second or third camera on my bike, but the image quality just isn't there. It's safe to say that I consider it retired. Next up, we've got the Akaso V50 Elite. I bought this camera because I wanted a second camera so I could run two at the same time. I just purchased the GoPro Hero 9, which was considerably more expensive, so I decided to save some money by purchasing this low-cost option. At $139, the price is tempting, and it includes an extra battery, charger, remote control, and lots of little extras that would all add up if purchased separately. To be honest, rather than saving money, the $139 was a waste. Overall, though the camera boasts 4K video, the image quality is poor. Although the camera manufacturer boasts about its image stabilization, I found it to be non-existent. Basically, the overall quality of the video was so poor that I put the camera away after a couple uses and never brought it out again. Let's talk about image stabilization. When we're cruising on our bikes, the camera can't help but shake and bounce around as the uneven road surface knocks us around. If the camera is attached directly to the bike, as opposed to on our helmet, the vibration of the engine and the jolts of the road will knock the camera around so that the resulting video appears jerky and distracting. Image stabilization is the technology using both hardware and software employed by camera manufacturers that smooths out all the bounces and allows us to watch videos without an annoying headache. Early GoPros and knockoffs like the Akaso don't offer adequate image stabilization. Starting with the Hero 8, GoPro successfully added in stabilization. So if you're thinking about an older GoPro for your bike, my advice is to stick with the Hero 8 or newer. I happen to have the Hero 9. Overall, the image quality is excellent, as is the image stabilization. The image remains steady no matter how much the bike shakes or bounces around. The camera itself can take a beating. I've bruised it and scraped it up. The front-facing LCD is currently broken after surviving a 100-mile-an-hour crash to the asphalt. We thought the impact killed the camera, but it fired right up. Though the smaller front LCD is out of commission, the rear LCD survived. The front LCD is mostly for people who do selfies using a stick, not something I find necessary for riding. Speaking of damage, If you do scratch or destroy the front lens element, that's an easy fix. Just twist it off and replace it with a new one that can be inexpensively purchased online. This is a big advantage over the 360 cameras, where a scratched or cracked lens will mean an expensive trip to the service department. The 5K video of the Hero 9 may be beyond what most TV screens can display and well beyond what YouTube can handle, but the benefit is that you can crop way into the video and still retain plenty of detail. Sharpness overall is excellent. The camera has all the features that you'd expect from a top-of-the-line capture device. Plus, an extensive supply of supporting accessories, from mics to neutral density filters to mounting adapters, are available to turn your weekend riding video into a TikTok viral blockbuster. One big advantage of the Hero series is that it's fairly easy to extract the telemetry data from the camera after the fact using software. Telemetry is information like speed, lean angle, acceleration, GPS location, etc. Extracting telemetry data from the 360 cameras is either not possible or requires extra hardware. So this is one area where the Hero shines. By the way, here's the URL to the software that I use. If you're looking for a helmet-mounted camera and/or one for vlogging, the Hero 9, 10, or 11 will do an excellent job. 360 footage generally requires more editing to get right, whereas the flat field of the Hero cameras is much more straightforward to clip together. I haven't used the new 10 or 11 cameras, but from all reports, the image quality and basic camera technology is the same as the 9. So you may be able to save some money by avoiding the latest and greatest. Yes, the newest cameras do have additional fancy features, but I haven't seen any that are necessary for most motorcycle riders. Now, let's talk about the 360 cameras. Here's where the fun begins. With a 360 camera, you can change your lens perspective and camera direction after the fact. This means you can go from fisheye to zoomed in while sitting at home. Using your phone or at your desktop computer, you can easily nail the exact shot that you want without having to worry about whether you got the scene right in camera. Instead of a static viewpoint, you can really mix your video up to create a more dynamic finished clip. Once you get creative with your mounting options, from handlebars to pole mounted, the possibilities for shots are endless. One thing to consider is that 360 cameras will advertise a 5.7K capture resolution, but that's for the whole 360 view. What you output to is a much lower res, 1080p. If you want true high-res capture, you'll need to stick with the regular non-360 capture format. In my experience, the 1080p format works for most uses, but once you try to crop in and view fine detail, the image quickly falls apart. For example, if you have a rider in front of you that you want to get a close-up of, the subject quickly becomes blurry and lacking in detail. My first venture into the world of 360 cameras was with the GoPro Max. Since I already had a GoPro Hero, I decided to keep the look of my videos consistent by sticking with the GoPro brand. Overall, the Max does deliver. The color and image quality is top-notch. Audio is clear and free of wind noise, even when mounted up front on the handlebars. I found that initially the camera worked consistently. Over time, though, the camera would just shut off after a few minutes of recording. On my smoother Ducati, it had less problems, but on my more vibration-prone Yamaha and rough-riding Honda, it wouldn't last long without the video getting stuck and refusing to continue recording. I attribute the problem to the camera not being able to handle the vibration of these bikes. The problem got so bad for me that eventually I had to send the camera in for service. I will say that GoPro's customer service is top-notch. They dealt with my problem quickly and without complaint and sent me back a new camera. I do have some other gripes with the camera besides the random video recording failures. Pressing the recording button with gloves on is always an issue. The GoPro record button is finicky. You have to hold it down just right for the proper length of time, otherwise the camera won't turn on or won't start recording. For me to begin rolling video, I usually have to stop my bike, remove my glove, and press the start and record button before continuing on. Starting the camera while the bike was moving was an exercise in futility, so I just gave up. I can tell you that I missed no shortage of moments because I was unable to start the camera while I was riding. If you do manage to hit the quick record button, which both turns the camera on and immediately starts the recording, you can't see which mode you're in, which is especially a problem since the camera would sometimes decide to switch modes on me without telling me. I'd think I was recording 360 video, but instead the camera had switched to stop action. Talk about frustrating. Not being able to see what mode you're in means having to hit the start button, wait for the camera to start up, check to see what mode you're in, and then hit the record button. Again, if you're in the middle of a ride, that's just not possible. Another complaint I have is in the editing software. Overall, the desktop software is user-friendly. It, however, lacks a feature where you can keep the camera pointed in one direction. If I was on a winding road, the camera would constantly shift around so it would point to the front, and then the back, and then the front, and so on. I had to manually fix every single corner to get the viewpoint that I wanted. That's tedious and really time-consuming. For some corners, the software would fight me constantly by trying to correct the scene away from me. So no matter how hard I tried, the scene looked jerky and forced. In the end, though I preferred the GoPro Max over the Hero 9 due to the convenience of 360 capture, I found that the bugs and usability of the camera to leave me wanting more. Above all, as a professional user, I need to be able to rely on my equipment to work consistently and expertly. Unfortunately, the GoPro Max, though I did get a lot of great footage out of it, never fully delivered. So, after too many struggles and moments lost with the GoPro Max, I decided to switch over to the Insta360 X3. The image quality is excellent. To my eyes, it ever so slightly exceeds that of the GoPro Max. Sound quality is also top-notch. Image stability is A+. The camera hasn't dropped out or stopped recording even once, despite hanging all over my rough riding Yamaha. Once you dig into the camera menu, you'll find a range of useful settings that aren't available on the GoPro Max. From 100 frames per second slow motion capture, to HDR video and photo, to user customizable shortcuts, the X3 is feature-rich. The Insta360 X3 also offers a range of accessories that extend the usefulness of the camera. For example, along with the camera, I purchased a 10-foot long carbon fiber extension pole that I've used to capture moments that were previously pretty much impossible to film in camera. The more slender build of the camera makes it easier to mount and maneuver. I've had no problems mounting it anywhere on or off my bike. The attachment point for the camera doesn't consist of the typical two-prong GoPro mount that's now common for most action cameras. Instead, it's a threaded screw-in mount that eliminates the need for any special mounting system. The benefit to this is that the metal screw-in attachment is far more secure than the GoPro system. There's no give or movement in the connection point, which makes for a more steady video capture. However, if you prefer, you can easily add the GoPro mount using an inexpensive adapter. I purchased the Insta360 motorcycle kit along with my X3. It includes several adapters and a clamp for mounting the camera to the bike. Like the camera, the kit does its job and it's worth the investment. Turning on the X3 is much easier than the GoPro Max. A quick press of the record button and the camera comes to life, even with my riding gloves on. The desktop editing software is a little less user-friendly and more complicated than GoPro's, but it also offers far more features than the GoPro software. Overall, the Insta360 software is an upgrade from the software for the 360 Max. Many users never touch the desktop software since the smartphone app is so easy to use. I've played with the app a little, but I generally prefer more control, so I rely on my desktop computer in the studio. Though both the GoPro Max and Insta360 X3 are overall excellent cameras, when it comes to using them on a motorcycle, the edge definitely goes to the Insta360. Well, alright, that's it for this video. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy the ride.